Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a replay of the third week of the group stage of the Vega Battlegrounds Championships. I was going up in, I think it was Group E. A little bit of time has passed, I don't fully remember, but we're going up against Super Sam from Fort Loki. Great guy. Didn't really know him too much before this, and he has some war videos on his channel and stuff, so I knew a little bit about him, but I was kind of going in blind in terms of like who his favorite champions are. And I'm trying to think. This week, Galen and Hulkling were not allowed to be banned, and Doom and Rintra were not allowed in your decks. So those were the special Grandmaster rules. I think it was Dan from Frontline MCOC who made those calls. So it's interesting to see Rintra was a whitelist before, but he was blacklisted. And for me personally, I don't have Galen, so I was a little nervous going into this one. Because I figured, if Sam had perfect access to Galen, as well as his rank 4 Hulkling, while I only have a rank 3 Hulkling, I thought that would give him a bit of an advantage. But, not to spoil it, this was probably the closest match I've ever had. It went down to the wire. Just had some amazing matchups, and he played so exceptionally well that it made it interesting the whole time. So anyway, this, of course, is a little late. I just got a little busy, but I do video all of these if I'm not able to live stream them. I think there's a lot you can learn from them. And, even though I'm not expecting this video to get a ton of views because it's a little stale, it is nice to have it just for like archival purposes. For the, and the channel for us participating in this tournament and everything. So this is the last week of the group stages. Technically, if I win, especially if I go like 3-0, there's a real chance for me to advance, but I am slightly behind PWF. We both have 1-1 records, and he has the head-to-head on me. So I would need to win, and some other stuff would need to happen for me to advance. So anyway, I really like my draft. Like, I've got good attackers, good dual threats, good defenders and stuff like that. And I do have to pick first, so I decided to just throw down the Domino nice and early because I don't really see a need for her on offense. Like, there is the Hood, which she would be good for. There is Kingpin that she would be good for. I jumped ahead of myself there, but I could always use Hood on Kingpin or something like that. So yeah, starting off, I'm throwing this Domino. She's very high sig, so it's going to give him some trouble because I don't really see an obvious Domino counter there. So he goes with this Sigil Witch, who, Mystics are very good because this is Rich Get Richer, of course. And, I'm taking in Kingpin, and I recently made a video going over my roster, and I specifically mentioned that if I'm going into a Battlegrounds matchup and it's like totally blind and I could just pick one attacker, it would be Kingpin. And I think you're going to see why. I'm assuming, a relatively high sig Mephisto, because just the size of Sam's account and stuff, I would imagine. We are getting a little lucky here, but so far we've basically taken no damage. We've also gotten a little lucky in terms of how many aura procs we've gotten, but that special 2 just took out like half his health bar, and we're doing fine. We still have 100% health. I hit him, and unfortunately we don't get to overpower yet, but that's actually not really going to matter. Right now, just watching him for the power game, we have gotten a little lucky in terms of how many Furies he's gotten, and then we do get our overpower. So I hit his block, and that sends him into his regen phase, and I jump in, I throw the special, which I know is going to be unblockable, and again, I'm just kind of stalling now, regenning a little bit, knowing that like one more combo is probably going to kill him. Things are slowing down a little bit, and at this point I'm just kind of praying that Domino is going to do her job, and that special 2 almost kills him, but we do need to just throw one more hit. We use the Unstoppable for the opening, and you know what, it ends up being a little closer than I thought it would be. So whatever he did to that Domino, I'm pretty darn impressed, because he did it faster than we did. He just lost a little bit more health. I'm sure most of that was from the crit failure. And yeah, so right out of the gate, I'm like, oh boy, this guy knows what he's doing. If he was able to take Domino that easily with a Mystic Champion, so yeah, so that was round one, but I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then he throws down Korg, and I'm kind of thinking like I better win this matchup because I don't really have a great counter for Domino, and I don't really have a great counter for Kingpin either because I'm going to have to use Hood here. And now he goes with Silver Surfer, which I think is a decent option because of the armor up. However, with Surfer, you're not always going to have the armor up, and Havoc can be annoying sometimes. So I figure I need to play this match very, very well in order to even have a chance, because I think Surfer is the better counter at this moment. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to phase right at the beginning, and then we're going to start doing light attacks, kind of like when you do Ghost versus Korg. So there we go. The lights, and then we get another free opening, and now the shield is down, which is fantastic. So we can start building our hexes, and we want to get them down as fast as possible, and we want to try to conserve as much health as we can. But there are going to be times that I may need to trigger the thorns. And right there, ability accuracy prevented the thorns, which is kind of nice. So we were able to get the shield down, and we still have 100% health, which is quite nice. So then we get a nice dex of the special 1. We go invisible again, just maintaining our hexes the best we can. I throw that special 2. It would have been nice if some of that overlapped with his rock shield. But the shield's going down. Missed the dex there, but the miss helped me. It didn't hit that hard. So we're still doing well. Right there, I do take my first bit of Thorns damage, and I was too slow connecting that special because it hit his block. So now I'm starting to panic a little bit in my head because I took that huge burst of Thorns damage. I detonate the hexes. It wasn't enough to kill him. So I need to do enough to just get through it here. And again, I take more Thorns damage because I'm getting worried about the time. And now I'm thinking maybe one more heavy will do it. And it does. So rank 3 Hood. And then when I see that he's still fighting, I figure I have a chance here. And it looks like Havoc did something. He got to a special 3 or something. But, that's the issue, right? Havoc is easy until something goes wrong, and then he's not so easy anymore. So I felt pretty good about that first round. We won 2-0, got to use Hood, who's one of my favorite attackers, and Hood is going to play a pretty big part in this entire matchup, as we're going to see a little bit later. All right, so now moving on to the second match, and I'm going to stick with the bands, I think. Quicksilver, to me, I don't enjoy fighting him, is really what it comes down to. And he's another really good science attacker. Sam's obviously got some really good science champions. He's been banning some of my science, which takes them out of his deck. So that's one of the reasons. I don't have Hercules. And Ronin just flat out scares me. It's like if you've got a Sig 200 Ronin in your deck, it means you have a plan, right? It means you're going to use that Rich Get Richer to like solo my Hulkling or some other champ with a lot of buffs. So I'm like, let's just get him out of there. A little silly to be banning Ronin, but I stand by that decision. So we got Archangel, we got Bishop. He throws down the weapon X, which means I'm probably going to have to use Archangel for him. And then I throw on a couple Cosmics there, hoping that I can, deal with that. But of course, he gets his top tier Mystic option. So now looking at what else we can do. He's got a Man Thing as well, so I kind of have to think about who I'm going to use for Man Thing. My only poison immune is Hulkling, and obviously that's going to be like Buffapalooza, so Mystic Dispersion and all that. I didn't really have good options there, so I went with APOC for defense, and then of course he gets Nimrod right away. He also has a Sig 200 Elsa, it looks like, which is pretty cool. He's another big Elsa fan like I am. And, rightfully so, he goes for the Nimrod, and then I'm looking and I'm like, well, great, he's got... he doesn't really have a Mephisto counter per se. He does have a really good Domino counter, so I just go with Mephisto. It may have made more sense to go Domino so that he could only use Nimrod for one of them, but I'm not 100% sure what the best play was there. So then moving on, he goes first. He goes straight for the Weapon X. So I've got to pick Archangel. And then I give him Apocalypse, kind of figuring he's just going to use Nimrod and get it over with. And then I'm going to either lose this match or like have the perfect Weapon X matchup and win it. So yeah, Nimrod's going to finish off that APOC in no time. And, I could have saved Archangel for Domino. Maybe that would have been smarter. Because Nimrod's just going to, like, destroy this Apocalypse, right? So anyway, I'm usually pretty comfortable with Weapon X, but I think I had some nerves here because I don't really have a good fight, unfortunately. But I'll still kind of tell you a little bit about it. So you can parry freely at the beginning. We get 1 bleed, we get no poisons, we get a bunch of bleeds. We get 1 poison. We miss a parry, so we have to re-parry. So only 1 neuro. That's not very good. We hit him once, which puts him to 25. And then I very stupidly hit into the unstoppable. Honestly, if I didn't do that, I think we would have had a chance to win this. Because even though we didn't have really good neuro luck, we have had enough neuros, and he's going to still go down pretty quickly. There we go. We get another neurotoxin. Bait out a special. And do a little heavy baiting, hopefully. Yeah, we get the intercept. Then he goes down in less than a minute. I don't think there's any way to compete with Nimrod because we wouldn't have gotten him down in 37 seconds, but there would have been a chance to have more health for sure. And if we got better neuro luck, I think we could have potentially won that. But I don't think we're beating a score of 54-9. So anyway, that I feel a little stupid there because we gave him the easy defender and we used one of our more OP attackers. So I'm kind of assuming I'm not going to win this match now. But we did get rid of his Nimrod, which means he's going to have to use somebody else for Bishop. And I'm deciding to just use Hood for Man-Thing. Because like I said earlier, we did have 1 poison immune, but it was just going to be a Mystic Dispersion Fest. So hoping that Hood can do his job, but I'm kind of just throwing in the towel here, assuming that I'm not going to win. So anyway, let's see how this goes. I'm certainly going to get some power because he does get some buffs. And, it's just going to kind of come down to how much luck we get with the armor breaks and the poisons and stuff. And hopefully we don't get a lot of poisons on us. So I have Petrify Mastery, so I'm just doing like mediums to not give him too much power. And so far so good. We haven't gotten any postules on us. We're building power more than him. I wish he didn't throw that, but we're doing the best we can here. So we've got a decent amount of hexes, and that just didn't do as much damage as I thought it would. I think the rank 4 nature of this Man-Thing is really coming through. Now we have to deal with this Mystic Dispersion, and he's almost at 3 bars. He finally throws it. We get our first poison on us, and the fight at this point is just really slowed down. There's not much we can do. We're getting a little bit of healing every once in a while. Notice that this is the new Hood with the bug fix so that our dashbacks are a little bit smoother, which is kind of nice. And, we haven't taken that much damage, but just kind of looking at how much health he has left and, how many hexes we have, it's not really going very well. So we need to detonate these hexes. We need to bait this special. I'm getting worried we're going to lose it. Fortunately, we don't. So I really need to detonate these things. And again, it's not enough. So 2 big hex detonations, not enough, is looking pretty bad. Assuming Super Sam knows how to fight that Bishop, with Angela, which I'm sure he does because he's getting a ton of power from the Rich Get Richer. Angela's such a good attacker. And, if he does get any incinerates on him, they're not going to even tick for anything. So he did a really good job. I'm feeling like I'm not even going to finish this fight. So I just throw this special at the buzzer, and we do get him down. So I'm pretty proud of that takedown. But you can see by the score that he had just such a better counter. And the fact that he finished with 87% health shows that he really knew what he was doing. So props to him. And just like that, we're tied 1-1. Both of us swept each of the games, and we've got ourselves a match here. So again, this is best out of 5, and let's see what happens next. All right, so going into round 3 now, and I'm sticking with these bans. I'm liking that I don't have to ever fight Quicksilver. I'm liking that he doesn't have access to his Hercules. And he sticks with the 3 science champions, which is really smart. Super Sam said something in the chat about how Mystic and Science are sort of like the 3 most stacked classes. And I think he's right, because they counter each other, and Mystics, even in this meta where Cosmics are so good, I do think Mystics do still pose one of the biggest threats when it comes to defenders. So, overall, I think taking away my science options is pretty smart. So we start off with Cersei, and he gets the 2 big dogs there, Gallon and Hulkling, the 2 whitelisted champions. I'm deciding what to do here, because I have like such a good draft right there. I mean, Kingpin, like I've said, is just a stud. And I go for Valkyrie because I think Valkyrie can take that Hulkling if I have to face him on defense, because we don't have to make contact with him. And he very wisely also goes with Kingpin. I mean, Kingpin is so strong. We go with Tigra. Tigra's a good play here because we have both Hulkling and Gallon to deal with. And then, of course, Nick Fury is just like the penultimate defender for everybody. He goes Sasquatch. He goes Toad. So we don't really have a Toad counter because of all these skill champions. We do manage to get Archangel, which will be good for Sasquatch. Hopefully that'll prevent him from placing Sasquatch in the first place. And then I do need to pick one more champion. And let's see, who do I go with here? I obviously went down to the wire. I was thinking pretty hard, but I saw him just destroy my Bishop. And I was thinking, you can play perfectly against Bishop and win, but you can play perfectly against Domino and lose a ton of damage because of crit failure. So that's why I went that way. And then he does go with I-Hulk. And my ace in the hole for I-Hulk is actually Kingpin, believe it or not. I feel really confident fighting him with that. So I throw down the Domino nice and early too, because once again, I want to jump off to a good start here. And I still have Nick to play, who's an even stronger defender in my opinion. Now he goes Toad. And I don't really have poison immune. I mean, obviously I could use Kingpin for shrugging, but you don't really want to use a shrugger against Toad. He kind of is just going to punish the crap out of you if you do that. So I decided to go Cersei, and I got to say, this is probably one of my best fights of the entire match. And basically, we're going into Toad without a poison immune. And we just need to be careful to not keep him back in his corner, because that's when a lot of bad things happen. I start off with the glancing right away. We just create a little bit of distance. I got that glancing just to make sure that I always had the advantage with the rich get richer, basically. We always want to have like 2 buffs up at the same time. And now I feel comfortable throwing this. We get 8 Furies. It's doing a pretty decent amount of damage. We've got 1 poison on us. We want to push him to a special 2, which gets rid of his prowess, I believe. So now he's back down to no prowess. We have the unblockable specials, so we connect our special 1, which refreshes all our Furies. And yeah, this is going pretty well, man. We have our special 1 ready to go. We've got all this power gain. We throw it again. We're not cornering him, so he hasn't started regenning yet. He's not putting a million poisons on us, and that last special 1 takes him down. So man, Cersei really does her job. Really good score there. Felt really good to take down a Toad without a poison immune. And she was really good in this meta because of the rich get richer. It's really easy to win that battle because she's always going to have like 2 unique buffs on her. So if you're not facing another cosmic, you're usually going to be good to go. So I am going to just speed up the rest of this clip to show you what happens next. All right, so as you can see, we do end up winning this one, which is fantastic. So we go off with a 1-0 lead, and we definitely took down, one of the defenders that was probably one of the more annoying ones. And then additionally, it removed Toad from being used against Nick Fury. Now, Toad versus Nick Fury is not like a given. You do need to really line stuff up and have a good run. But I'm seeing that he doesn't really have a big Nick Fury counter there. So I'm kind of hoping that I can just like settle this thing once and for all right now. And I'm assuming he's going to go Hulkling here because Hulkling is such a monster. But yeah, he does go. So he uses both of those big cosmics to put on offense, which I think makes a lot of sense. And Hulkling can certainly nuke him down, Nick Fury. But, the whole second life thing means that the match is going to last a certain amount of time. And my goal here is to try to avoid the second life. So I'm trying to remember. I think I just spam the special ones for a couple reasons. That reduces his ability accuracy, and it will additionally be like some damage over time that will not contribute to the gamma. But the main goal here is basically to finish this match while my degeneration is on him. And actually, I think what I did was smart. I figured that the reason I did the special 2 is because I figured even if everything goes perfectly, he's going to get to 15 gamma by the end of this thing. So I was trying to build into overpower, and unfortunately I didn't get there because he was being reluctant to throw the special. So we did lose a little bit of momentum there, but at this point I'm just going to be spamming these. The degeneration is going to be a constant tick, and like I said, I know I'm going to get to 15 gamma, but there is a little bit of an ability reduction when it comes to those degenerations, and it's also a weakness. So we're just kind of playing the game of hoping ability accuracy stops this thing. As long as we keep spamming the special ones, we know that it's slowly ticking them down, and it is reducing ability accuracy. So you see he's at 17 gamma. Hopefully we get him down, and the ability accuracy does its job. And man, thank God it did, right? Because Nick was already down. That is an impressive takedown of Nick in only 67 seconds. But Nick must have clipped him or something, because he did lose a little bit of health. And the fact that we didn't have to deal with Immortal and that we ended with 100% health gave us this very solid win. So super cool to see that. And then next up, now we have a 2-1 lead. So we just need to win one of these final 2 matches. And I think this is where Sam started buckling down, because he was a menace the rest of this time. I will tell you, he's just been he's been playing very well. Obviously, like even on the matches where he's losing, it's mostly been because I have had like a better matchup. It's not because one of us played better than the other. But he's been playing at such a high level that even though I'm up 2-1, it doesn't really mean anything, right? So here we go with another draft. I get my little baby rank 3 Hulkling. And we've got Valkyrie, who's been so good in this meta. I haven't really gotten to use her yet, unfortunately. And then I'm thinking, do I go Nova? Do I go Kingpin? As I've said many times, Kingpin, he's just one of the best in Battlegrounds, no matter what the meta is. So I decide to go that way. And then I go Nova, hoping that he doesn't get one of his top mystics, of course. But then right away, that Scarlet Witch comes out of nowhere. So I figured the Nova was a waste. I really wish that I had drafted differently, because if I had just picked someone else, then I think I may have had a chance to win this match. But yeah, we go with Nimrod because he's got the Pyramid X there, so I figured that's a good match. And then I go for Archangel just because it is, Archangel. I think he is worthy of always having. He gets his Gallon, and then who else is he going to go for? He knows that I took his Korg earlier, so hopefully that deters him from picking Korg, because secretly I hate fighting Korg, and I don't want to have to use the hood again. So he's obviously taking a little bit of time to think here. And unfortunately, we get Domino, which is great because we have Nimrod, but then we don't really have someone for Storm Pyramid X unless we go like Archangel. So I gotta say I do make a poor decision here, which I think is gonna do me in. But let's see who he gets to go first. So obviously this is the match that I want to win because he is picking first. He got to invite me in this match, which means he has a slight advantage in that in the final game I'm gonna have to pick first. But he goes Hulkling, and I don't really have a good Mystic here to take him down. So I throw in the Nova because I figured this is going to be an L. And I'm like, you know what, let's just try Valkyrie because I'm not seeing Valkyrie being the answer to any of these future fights. I think that this is her chance to win. So yeah, this is, I think, the only time I get to use Valkyrie. And let's just see how this goes. The game plan is basically going to be just hitting the block, and trying to gain power with our Pierce and then going from there. So he backs up, which is fantastic. We don't necessarily want to be hitting him, even though like we could have punished that heavy there. So AI is not cooperating. We need to get to this Pierce. I took a blocked hit there. I decided to start hitting him, which is a bit of a mistake. I think we should have just stuck to the game plan. Right there, he supercharges. So trying to figure out a way to get off a big special 2 here. We are able to get it off, but we only had 2 Pierce. So that didn't do as much damage as it could have. We need to be hitting his block more. I hit him once just because I also don't really want to get backed up. So now we have the 3 Pierce, which is great. I wish he would just stop throwing those heavies, though. And he's still gaining power because he has more unique buffs than us. And we want to avoid that indestructible, of course. We also need to bait some specials. So we're doing great in terms of like how much health we have. We're a little slow on how much damage we're doing. I proc the indestructible. We're just going to try to get through the indestructible. He keeps throwing those heavies, which is super annoying. Got to get to the special 2 because we're built up. We have everything we need to make this special 2 really, really fly. He throws it again. We just have to get him to back up. And now hopefully this does it, right? Hopefully we can get him down with his big special 2, and it does. It was just too little, too late. So even though we played perfectly, obviously he knows how to handle Nova. And that's why I was saying if I had picked a different defender than Nova in that round, there would have been a chance to squeeze this out. I think I played very well there, and the AI just gave me whatever it gave me, which really delayed me and made it very difficult to win that fight. All right, so next up, I have to pick a defender. I need to win this round, which is why I go Hulkling, because I know he lost his Mystic. So as good as Hulkling would have been on offense later, I was like, I need to win this match, and I'm not ready to give up my Kingpin. Because for Kingpin, I'm going to definitely need Kingpin to fight Hulkbuster potentially. So it's like, are we going to place Kingpin or are we going to place Hulkling? And he very smartly goes Domino, which is just going to negate my Nimrod. Nimrod's going to get pulled out, and then we're going to have to deal with Storm Pyramid X with power gain, which is a big nightmare. So he goes Gallon versus Hulkling, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this match. I mean, I don't think he was throwing per se, but he was definitely like, yeah, I'm going to give this one to me. And we'll see what happens in the 3rd round, which I think was pretty smart. So this is just going to be an absolute destruction of Domino because, he's obviously built for this matchup. I'm pretty new to Nimrod, but in a matchup like this, there's not really much to think about. We're just building up our armors and building up our protocol. And I think we just basically have to bait 1 special. We do the fancy bait there. And then we'll just throw 1 special 2 in eradicate mode. We got 8 armors for the additional attack. And that's basically going to take her down. If he was rank 4, then she would have been dead right there. Whoa, hello evades. Hello evades. Not sure how we got out of that mess. I seriously almost screwed up what should have been the easiest fight in the world. But we do a special 1 to get the energize, get back up to that special 2, and that's the end of Domino. So then, looking at that score, that's what you expect. And now I am going to just fast forward so that we can see what happens in that 3rd round. All right, so you can see here that we did very clearly win. But once again, even in his losses, he is playing so exceptionally well to get a score like that using Gallon without armor ups or anything like that. So again, very impressive play. I am not off the hook yet. We have 1 more round to go. I'm really, really hoping that I was really hoping that he would place Hulkbuster. But I'm looking here, and I know that if I place Cersei, Juggernaut's going to destroy her. So I have to place Kingpin, which was sort of part of my strategy. And this is where, man, I don't know what I could have done here, right? Because if I went Archangel, I could have run into a situation where none of my neuros were landing because of the glancing, and then she gets to an unblockable special 2 and I die, right? Whereas Cersei will be able to keep up with her in terms of the rich get richer, but something happens in this fight that I'm a little disappointed in terms of the way the interaction works. So we're trying to basically do what we did before, which is like, okay, we have our glancing, we have our transmutation, but here's the issue. Our mediums are not landing transmutations, which is how it's supposed to work. But that really kills us. All that glancing really kills us. We only get 4 Furies. And now I do take a little bit of a hit there. So now, because of this not being able to parry, we're a little screwed. We get a good dex there. Now I throw this, and I think that I'm supposed to get the unblockable, but it looks like we didn't. And it also looks like, for some reason, we didn't refresh, right? And now I'm almost positive that I was throwing that special one from a distance, and that it should have refreshed, because the weird thing is we got the stun, and if you get the stun, it means that you are from a distance. So for some reason, our Furies didn't refresh, and I guess I need to read her abilities again, because I'm curious why that didn't happen. But we are just not doing enough damage here. If we had gotten a little bit better RNG with the glancing, I think we would have been okay. But she's going unblockable. Right there, we don't refresh our Fury. I mean, maybe there's a line of text that I don't realize that you need to have like over 5 Furies for them to refresh or something like that. But we're throwing that special one and it's not refreshing. So I'm assuming that there's a line of text that's like, you need X amount of Furies. Now she has her special 2, so we're a little screwed. And, I'm obviously not going to hit the pause button to cheat. But we fortunately avoid getting smacked by an unblockable special. But, as expected, we completely lost this matchup. Juggernaut was just going to do his job. And I was really, really disappointed, because I saw that fight going a certain way, but then we just kept getting glancing on that second medium. We couldn't build up enough transmutations. And then the special one wasn't able to refresh those Furies. So we just weren't doing enough damage. And now I'm like, man, I should have just YOLO'd and used Archangel, because there is, a chance for Archangel to slip through with those neuros. And if you get enough, then she's just down. So I think it would have been worth the risk. But we could have, of course, taken a special 2 to the face as well. So well done to Sam. I think he played that round perfectly, because he did back me into a corner. And so now we're up to this last round. It's tied 2-2. The first 3 rounds have only been 2 games. Like, we both swept. And then that last one went to the 3rd game. So obviously we're playing very neck and neck right now. We both won like basically the same amount of games total. And it's just been like an absolute grind, an absolute battle to the end. And it's all going to come down to this. So I pick a science champion, because, again, he bans all my science champions. So I need somebody. And we've got Negs. I see that he's got that man thing, so I'm feeling good. I've got Negs for man thing. He does have access to his hood. He's got a Mephisto, so we need to think of who we're going to fight Mephisto with. We do pick Tigra to use against Galen. We've got our Valkyrie in case we need to use her against somebody. And now he's thinking, he was thinking maybe Angela. He's got his Toad. He know that I was able to take down Toad before. He's got Apocalypse. He's got Mojo. He's got lots of options here. And he's really thinking it out to the last seconds. And he goes with Negs and Angela. Now, I have a choice to make. Domino has just been, very stalwart for me the whole time. And I'm wondering if I have to pick Elsa here, just go back to one of my comfort champs. I'm not really seeing a Gallon counter per se, aside from Tigra, actually. So we are good there, but we don't really have a Mephisto counter. So I decided to go Juggernaut just because he's so good in this meta. And then now I see he has the chance to pick Domino or Weapon X. It's getting a little tricky here. So basically, looking at this draft, I just think it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for me. Especially, I have Valkyrie who's so good, but I feel like she was a waste of a pick because there's not someone out there who I think she's a perfect counter for. Mephisto can get his incinerate when you hit his block as well. So like Valkyrie is a little bit of a waste here. So now we have the Domino mirror match, and I decide to go Juggernaut. I'm just thinking like we need to nuke her down. And honestly, I don't remember how this one goes, so I'm going to be kind of reacting to this in the same way as you are, because these are two not typical domino counters going up against some pretty stacked rank 3, assuming they're both around Sig 200. So let's together see what I do here, because I don't remember how this whole thing shaked out. So I know the key with Juggernaut is, you want to build up your unstoppables, which is, just through hitting him. It looks like the crit fail isn't doing much of anything to us. It might be because of the consecutive triggers clause, but we do throw that, and that was a pretty decent looking special 2. We're still doing okay on how much health we have. She's obviously gaining a lot of power, which we don't like to see. But yeah, here we go. Again, the critical failure is not doing much because I think there's that text about the consecutive triggers. We get a good dex there. We throw another special 2. It seems like we're not getting maximum momentum too easily. Have to watch out for the evade right there. We can throw another special 2 with hopefully a couple more. Ouch, that hurts. That hurts to watch. But fortunately, the unstoppable meant that we didn't take too much damage there. So, we're still kind of in this. But now, nope, we don't get it off there. So, yeah, again, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. We're just doing the best we can to get this Domino down. And he's got Gallon, who is, our only hope with Gallon is that Domino somehow, like, fails the harvest from happening or something, which she definitely can do. So that's what we're hoping our Domino is going to do. And I have to take the risk and go into the evade there because we're running out of time. And then we finally... That doesn't kill her? Okay, so we just rush in with the Striker at the last second. That was exciting, man. I have no idea what was going on. And then I can see that my Domino is still giving his Gallon a little bit of trouble. So there's a chance that we could actually come out ahead here, and we do. So he's not able to get her down. She must have failed the harvest. So I can just tell you what was going through my head right there. It was like, oh man, we just snuck a victory with this completely improbable matchup. We just need to win one more game. And we've got this. So next up we have, he's probably going to place Mephisto. And he does, and we do not have a good Mephisto counter, so it's almost certainly going to be a loss. I decide to place... He already took my bishop with Angela once before, so I'm assuming he's going to do that again. Yep. And he knows how to do this fight, so I'm assuming that this fight's going to go to him. I see he has his hood, so we do have Hulkling as a defender. But looking here, man, I think we kind of only have Hulkling and Tigra as potential defenders here. And I'm almost wondering if maybe I could have placed Tigra and something weird could have happened with the power gain, but I think she would have gone down too fast as well. So I'm just looking at these last 2 rounds, and this is sort of what I feared, was that we definitely got outdrafted here. And this is a fight I don't know how to do. I have not practiced... Tigra versus Mephisto. We get a good heavy counter there, but he's just gaining so much power. We obviously can't really punish that as far as I know. There might be a way to like dash in right there. I have no idea how that clipped me. I'm actually pretty upset about that. I thought I was out of range, but we've lost both of our senses, and he parried us there, man. We just weren't fast enough. I'm not a fan of that. So I know this fight's we've lost. If only I had had more science champions. This is kind of where it's showing that his bans were so good, right? Because we only had negs. And again, we're just too slow there. So there's something about these double mediums. You need to be even quicker on the punish. I swear to God, I know how to punish that. But there's no way we're winning this fight. This is really going terribly. And, everything's kind of coming apart at the seams for me at this moment. And I'm just thinking like my only hope is going to be something happens in that final round, because there's no way we're coming out of this even alive. I think we might be able to time out, but no, we just die straight up. And I knew that his Angela versus Bishop skills are really good. He's probably baiting special ones, and then just like the incinerates are ticking for 0 seconds, and he's totally got this fight down. So now it comes down to, it's going to be the battle of two perfect matchups to finish this thing off. And what I mean by that is he's going to get to use Hood against Hulkling, and I'm going to get to use Mr. Negative against Man-Thing. These are on paper some of the best matchups, but what I'm going on in terms of an uphill battle here is that he has rank 4 Hood against rank 3 Hulkling, and I have rank 3 Negs against rank 4 Man-Thing. And this Man-Thing has 227,000 health. And as good as Mr. Negative is, I'm A, not the best Mr. Negative player, and B, that is so much health to get through. But we're going to talk about the fight anyway. We do parry heavy, then we do just straight parry. We do that. So now we get this off, and we're just going to try to get the degen off. So we're going to do another parry heavy. So now right there, missed a parry. So at this point, I think the run is over. The best we can do is convert to 14. Now, I wonder what would have happened if I landed that parry. Then we could have stacked 18 of the degens, which wouldn't have been enough to kill him, but it would have definitely sped up the match, and we would have had a lot more health. So right there, what happened, I was walking toward him, and he walked up to like right before it was time to parry, and then he threw a light attack. And by doing that, we completely lost the rhythm of the fight. And that's going to be enough to kill him, but it's going to be too slow, and we're going to have lost too much health. And for sure, our Hulkling has already been down for 20 seconds. So even if we ended with 100% health, we would have easily lost this matchup. GG's to Super Sam, man. He really brought it together and played super well in those last few matchups, particularly, including the drafts. Like, I think he was drafting like an absolute genius toward the end. And I'm not saying that in a mocking way. I really think like he backed me up into a corner really well in that last matchup. And a couple things could have gone differently, but I am pretty proud of how I played. And he did advance with PWF, and I think he absolutely earned that spot. He won all 3 of his fights against PWF, Simula, and myself. And he totally deserved it, man. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why I want to rank 4 my Hood. I think Hood is just so amazing, and he really played a factor here. He won that Korg match for me as a rank 3, and then he ended up winning the whole shooting match at the end for Super Sam with a really clutch takedown of a difficult defender in this meta using an amazing attacker. So anyway, if you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. These are fun. Again, this is kind of just an archival copy of what happened during the tournament. I'm very proud of how I showed up. I ended up 1-2, and this one could have really gone either way. I think if the draft went a little differently, I think there would have been a chance for me to win here, and I'm pretty proud of how I played, but also mad respect to Super Sam for just absolutely bringing it. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks for checking out the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.